Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Joel Rosen. I want to welcome you back to another edition of your Adrenal Fix. And today I want to talk to you about 5 eating myths, especially as it relates to your recovery with your adrenal fatigue problems. The first one that I was actually guilty of, because I suffered with adrenal fatigue myself, number one being small meals more frequently. How many of us are told have a breakfast, have a snack, have a lunch, have a snack, have a dinner, and then maybe a snack after dinner? Because as an adrenal fatigue sufferer, your blood sugar is not able to keep itself stable, and you've experienced that 2 o'clock crash, and your blood sugar just falls, or you wake up in the middle of the night because you can't stabilize your blood sugar throughout the day or throughout the sleep. And that's true. That actually is true. But what happens is you are burning too much glucose. You're eating too much carbohydrates. You're not getting sustained relief out of your fuel. And that's what a ketogenic diet can do. So I'm not necessarily saying you shouldn't eat more frequently, because I do think that people that are suffering with an adrenal fatigue problem have a difficult time stabilizing their blood sugar. But when you eat more frequently, you're just putting a band-aid over the fact that your mitochondria is unhealthy and it prefers the fuel of ketone bodies, or stored fat or healthy fats in your diet, to take the load off the pancreas and the liver and the insulin levels and your inflammation. So I really do think small meals more frequently is probably a myth when you're suffering with an adrenal fatigue problem. Whereas if you can get into more of a ketogenic state, you can have moments where you're not eating for 12, 16, 18, 24 hours if done safely through intermittent fasting. And we're just not engineered as the caveman type of diet to eat, sit down for 5, 6 meals a day. We're engineered to have a big meal and then let that meal get digested and utilized as a fuel source, because we didn't know when our next meal would come. And that's how our body's engineered. So if you're finding that you're crashing because you're eating very, very often, then potentially your blood sugar issues are not being helped. They're just being satisfied for sort of a short-term solution. The next one is carbs are essential. As far as I know, there's no such thing as essential carbohydrates. However, there is such things as essential amino acids and essential fatty acids, but no such thing as essential carbohydrates. What that means is our body can manufacture certain proteins and fatty acids and carbohydrates with inside itself. But if it can't generate or manufacture that food source inside, it is called essential, because it can't make it on its own. And we have essential proteins, essential amino acids that we can't manufacture inside our body, and we have essential fatty acids. So carbs are not essential. Carbs are have come along after we have these developed nations that developed farming and crops and produce and these grains and these sources of starch. But ultimately, if you're looking to recover with your adrenal fatigue problem, carbohydrates in excess of 50, 75, 100 grams per day can put you over the top in terms of what you're utilizing as your fuel source. If you're burning glucose, then you're creating a lot of oxidative stress, potentially mitochondrial dysfunction, insulin resistance, liver dysfunction, and fatigue. So that's another myth. Ketogenic diets did not work for me. That's why I'm doing this video again. I've had people that have replied to Facebook posts and said it didn't work for them. And what I tell them is, I don't think that you tested it long enough. And we have 3 ways that we can do it. I have my new toy here. It is a glucose monitor, just like you use with your taking your blood sugar, but these strips are called ketone strips, and they'll measure your glucose or your ketones in the morning and at the end of the day, which I prefer you guys to do. And it should be anywhere between 0.5 millimoles to 4.0 millimoles. And if you're below 0.5, then you haven't gotten into ketosis. I also use this ketonics meter, which is measuring your breath. And when it measures your breath, you should be above 40 is the units, or 45 is where you're in a good ketogenic state. If you haven't measured, then you don't know. And you may not have done it long enough, or you may have eaten too many carbs to go over your threshold, or you kept your carbs low and you ate too much protein to go over your threshold. or you didn't do it long enough, or you weren't eating enough protein. There's a lot of things you're eating too frequently. There's a lot of reasons why you potentially didn't reach a ketogenic state, and now you're saying it didn't work for you. Unfortunately, you were sort of in no man's land, and when you're in no man's land and you're not able to get into that ketogenic state, you're neither burning fat or glucose, and you're just sort of humming along and you're not doing a good job. So I would tell you that certainly if you're not testing, to test is to know, and if you're not testing, you don't know. The other thing is high protein diets are good for you. I see a lot of people on paleo diets, and potentially they could be good for you, but going on too high of a protein, number one, is very hard on your digestive enzymes and your hydrochloric acid, which we see to be depleted when you're suffering with a chronic condition. When that happens, that causes gastrointestinal dysfunction, inflammation, leaky gut, intestinal permeability, food reactivity, and autoimmunities. Not to mention the pressure it puts on the kidneys. So a lot of the times for patients that try to get into a ketogenic state, they're eating too much protein to exceed their threshold, and they become a glucose burner because that excess protein gets catabolized and burnt into sugar. The last thing is fats are bad for you, and fats make you fat. And that couldn't be any further from the truth as long as those fats are healthy, saturated, monounsaturated fats and not hydrogenated oils or fried foods. So we're talking about avocados, seeds, nuts, coconut oils, healthy bone broths, healthy fatty meats, not cutting the fat off the meat, and eating a lot of healthy fats will help you become more ketogenic and will actually help you lower cholesterol, lower your unhealthy LDL levels, raise your healthy HDL levels, and put down your triglycerides. So hopefully you got a lot out of this. I'm going to be doing a seminar on talking about this more in depth. So you can just click under the link to get more information, and I look forward to helping you in your adrenal fatigue nightmare. If you like what you heard, please just subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get more information from me. Go over to my Facebook page, it's Adrenal Fatigue Society, or check out my free blog, it's adrenalfatiguesociety.com. Once again, my name is Dr. Joel Rosen, and I look forward to helping you recover with your adrenal fatigue nightmare. Thank you so much.